Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Live, where the headlines are not just read but examined, where national conversations are not just echoed but interrogated. I'm Oluwayemi Adelako, and as always, we begin with the stories setting the tone for the day.
All right, Samson Balogu is my name. This morning, former Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, makes a striking claim saying he could be arrested at any time. It's a statement that raises questions about political tension, accountability, and the temperature of opposition politics in Nigeria. What does this signal? Is this a rhetoric, precaution, or a deeper reflection of shifting political alignments in the country?
That's a big question. After that, we'll bring you a detailed weather report helping you plan your movement across major cities, followed by a comprehensive news update tracking development and governance and the economy to security and international affairs.
Right. Then it's time for our newspaper headlines and analysis, where we go beyond the bold print to unpack the narrative shaping public opinion. And joining us is Emmanuel Oladele Abiola, public affairs analyst, who will be helping us to decode the angles, implications, and political undertones dominating the front pages this morning.
And for our big story, we confront a question that sits at the intersection of policy and survivor. Minimum wage versus economic reality. Is the current wage structure truly realistic in today's Nigeria? With inflationary pressures, currency fluctuations, and rising living costs, many Nigerians are asking whether wages reflect economic truth or political compromise.
And to examine this critical is going to be joining us on this show, Temitope Ishola, historian and public affairs analyst. It will help us provide context, historical, structural, and economic balances on this particular topic, and of course will help us understand whether wages reform is overdue or economically unstable.
And as always, we round off with Trend Watch, where we spotlight the conversations shaping public discourse across social and civic spaces.
All right, this is Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice. Let's get straight into it this morning.
Definitely.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Samson.
Always nice to be here on this seat to discuss major national issues. And definitely the headlines are not slowing down like we always say on this style. Right. And that brings us to the opposition politics in Nigeria. And talking about opposition, we'll talk about Nasir El-Rufai, who came out to say there's a likelihood he will be arrested soon. And the question is, who's going to arrest him? And what exactly could cause this particular narrative? It was on an interview, I think that was with an international TV, and then he made these claims. The question is, most of the times, people make these statements just to make sure that they are in a safer side, especially when they're in the opposition against the ruling government, so that it places you in a position where people would already be aware that something might likely happen to you. But the most important thing also to note is that how are you playing your opposition politics? That's also a very big question. A few days ago, I think that's still this week, I think it was on Monday, Nasir El-Rufai was talking about the Senate President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and then he called him a certain name on TV. In quote, he said he's a scumbag. I mean, that for me shouldn't really have happened, because he is someone that should have known better. And if you could say that to a sitting Senate president, who will say worse to any other person, especially for a president like Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that openly admitted that he's probably the most abused president around the world, and he doesn't really care about what people say about him. So if you are playing opposition politics, I think it should be issue-based opposition. Let's talk about policies. Let's talk about arrangements by the federal government, and not just about the person. So personal attacks should be left out of all of this. And I think that is one thing that this opposition, especially those in the ADC, that have been doing since they formed that coalition.
Right, it's really very sad that we're in this position, especially with the opposition and the politicians and the ruling government. And then I think I read that, he's not in the country as we speak, just like you mentioned. And then he said when he traveled last year in November, according to reports that we've read, a letter was dropped in his residence by the EFCC, more like an invitation letter. So maybe he's just, thinking or adding one, to say that maybe when I get back to the country, they might arrest me. At the end of the day, you don't need to be scared of anything. If you have not done anything that can, indict you in any way, there's no reason to be scared. If at all they invite you, they'll definitely let you go at the end of the day. And then he also mentioned that if he was around, he would have joined the protest, to maybe just, talk about the we want electronic transmission and all. And then he's been calling, some persons, some funny names, just like you mentioned. And then he also said something that, the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will return to the lagoon where it came from. Don't forget that this same person supported this, administration, when they were contesting 2022, 2023. As a matter of fact, he was at the forefront of saying that, okay, APC must come back, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu can do the job. So at the end of the day, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu won the election, he was nominated for minister. At the end of the day, during the screening process, he was screened out. They could not, proceed with him. And then people are saying, most Nigerians are saying, maybe this is the genesis of the problem he has with APC and maybe President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Someone even asked a question. If Nasir El-Rufai eventually became a minister back then, would he be saying what he's saying now?
No, we really cannot tell, and it's so debatable that maybe you'll be saying something else now. So at the end of the day, years have passed after he was screened out and he could not become a minister. And then he came out, at the time after he was screened out to say, I'm not bitter about the fact that I was not able to get the position, the ministerial position. My claim is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not doing well, and this same man that you've known for years, that you campaigned for, and he won the election and you were happy about it. What changed? That's why we say in politics that there are no permanent enemies. Anything can change. El-Rufai can still become very tight or very close friends to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the future. Anything can still happen. So really, when politicians say certain things, you don't really take it, so strong, because anything can change. And one more thing is the fact that in 2012, when Goodluck Jonathan was in power, some media outlets reported that El-Rufai said Jonathan might arrest him. So this is not the first time that we are seeing issues like this. So let's wait for him to come back to the country. I think he should arrive in like maybe 2 days or so, according to reports. And then let's see if he's going to be invited. Because according to him, he's saying arrest. EFCC might want to invite him. So we cannot really tell. So it will depend on when he's back now, and then we get the reports that, okay, he was invited, or he has been detained, or he's just invited. They just invited him and he's been allowed to go. So it depends. He should not be scared.
I think chances are very high that he will be invited, not arrested. And I think while going through the story that broke yesterday, and Nasir El-Rufai also went further to say 4 of the people he worked with while he was governor in Kaduna State have been invited and detained by the EFCC. Now, it means that if you worked with commissioners, worked with senior special advisors, and they've all been invited and detained, I mean, the only thing that's left is to call the boss and say, look, we have arrested this, we have actually detained these people because we found indicting evidences against them which are linked to you. So I think one of the things that we have done successfully in Nigeria that makes everyone looks like they don't know what they are doing is the fact that we rub insult on injury, okay? We tend to join issues that are not even related. Now, you are playing opposition politics, you understand. Do you have issues, pending issues with the EFCC? That's one thing you should find out. And I also want to implore the government not to use the EFCC or any other military or paramilitary agencies to actually spite other people, especially opposition politicians. This is not the time to do it because Nigeria is a volatile state already, and at this time everyone is watching. It might just be that people will be thinking, oh, it is because they are playing opposition against this administration, and that is why some of these agencies are being used as a tool. But the question is, do you have a pending case with the EFCC? If you have a pending case, go and sort it out. We still have so many other governors who left office and are still having to visit the FCC every now and then. If you remember, Yahya Bello is still having an issue with the FCC, even though he's been back and forth, and so many other people too. Even in Plateau State, we've seen some governors that were inducted, and that still does not mean they are not part of the APC. They are still part of the APC. And the question is, even some of them that are facing these issues are members of the APC. So I don't want to believe it's about witch hunting now. I want to believe it's about doing the right thing. And if the FCC finds incriminating evidences against anyone, regardless of what party you belong to, they should be prosecuted. And if Nasir El-Rufai enters Nigeria today and he slights lands, and the FCC deems it fit to invite him to their office, I think it should be done. And then if he feels like, well, I don't think I have anything to do, let there be documents that backs it up, and then that will be it. It will not be witch hunting, but doing the right thing.
And definitely, because even the likes of Tambua, his case is still on now. He has said it quite a number of times that, the APCs were taunting him because he left, the political party. And Rufai also mentioned it that, the APC is trying to withhold whosoever it is that left the party, and even people that are still dear to it, to say that, okay, you don't even have the capacity to leave at any point in time. You really cannot.
Look at Malame, former AGF, Attorney General of the Federation. By all indications, you would know he's a member of the APC because he was appointed by the last president, which was late president, former president Muhammadu Buhari. Now he's facing his own, beats and he's dancing to it. And we can say for a fact that he's a member of the party. So I don't want to believe it's about being partisan. Oh, you are a member of ADC, APC, PDP. No, it's about the EFCC getting it done, getting it right, because eventually it boils down to integrity. Do you have the integrity? Did you do anything wrong? It's a question that you must answer.
Definitely. And then speaking about the EFCC, he also mentioned, he talked about the current governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai. He also mentioned about, as a matter of fact, they are not friends. Right. They are loggerheads. Looking at the kind of things that he said about them. There was even a time shortly after he left office, and especially when he left the APC, I think a probe started about the things that he did while he was in office. So he thinks that he's connected. And don't forget that El-Rufai is like a very brilliant politician. He knows how to play certain games, and then he's been in the game for quite a number of time. You cannot begin to compare him with those that are just joining politics or people who don't have a day of politics before they became a minister or a senator or a governor. So at the end of the day, I think he knows more than what Nigerians know. There are certain things that are not so clear to us that he's aware of, and that's why he decided to play a very fair game. It's a poetic statement to say, I might be arrested soon. Why? He didn't really say so much. He just talked about, okay, they dropped a letter for me at home while I was away. I'm coming back to Nigeria. I'm not afraid to face the EFCC. Excellent. If you have not done anything wrong, I mean, you should be free to even visit whatever it is that they want to invite you. Speak to them. At the end of the day, you'll be allowed to leave. We have seen people that EFCC invited, and at the end of the day, they could not find anything against them, and they left. We have also seen people who EFCC has been on their case for long. You spoke about Yahya Bello. We are still going to be on that case if case not taken, even after election. Don't forget there was a time Yahya Bello even said that he's interested in contesting for senatorial seats that Natasha is currently occupying, and people are asking for someone who still has issues with the EFCC, and he's saying, I want to contest.
It's the audacity.
It's the audacity. So if case not taken, it might contest, and then if Natasha is not so strong again, don't be surprised. He might win. He might win that election. So these are the issues. One more thing is, as a matter of fact, we have seen cases whereby the EFCC is also after members of the APC. And we have also seen cases whereby EFCC is after people who are not members of the APC. At the end of the day, I think the EFCC too, in a way, should look for ways to, hasten up certain things. Yes, you need time to make sure that you're correct. You don't want to indict someone who has done nothing. But at the end of the day, especially this Rufai case, this Yahya Bello case, anytime EFCC decides to invite someone, maybe for corruption or maybe they arrest the person, I promise you, check online, check X, for instance, Yahya Bello is always trending. Nigerians are so interested in that case. They want to know the end of that case. Why have you not said anything about this man? One of the representatives of EFCC was on national TV recently, and when he was asked the question, why is it that we have not heard so much about Yahya Bello's case, he said they are still trying to collate the evidences because they don't want to indict someone who has done nothing. Excellent. Nigerians are waiting. At the end of the day, we can't wait forever. In the next 2-3 years, if we can't hear anything, it will keep trending on X.
Absolutely. You see, the challenge is, I think one of the mistakes EFCC made in the past was charging people to court without having, proper evidences, or maybe having too many count charges, and eventually all of them will be struck out of, in court. And I think they are trying to be more careful this time around. If for any reason we are taking anybody to court, even if it is no more than 2 count charges, they must all stick. That is what I think they are doing. I want to believe that is what they are trying to do. And if you look at the current setup, you cannot charge a person twice on the same case. One is being said to be, free from what particular charges you have actually placed on him. You cannot charge him back for the same. You have to get your evidences right, and that is exactly what they've been doing that has actually affected him in the past. Without really having too much evidences, they're already making noise about one particular person, and when they get to court, to be struck out. So I think they are trying to be more careful now. They want to be meticulous. They want to gather more evidences. They want to be sure that this person has been caught red-handed. And that, for me, is a very good approach. And also, if you look at how politics is being played in Nigeria, I think the politicians know how to leverage on the emotional intelligence of Nigerians. They play on it so much that even Nigerians will begin to sympathize or maybe begin to defend people blindly, especially those who actually took their money, siphoned their money and took it abroad. And we've seen it happen a lot of times where it is even the people that will be defending that person. I mean, let the EFCC do their job. The only thing that concerns you is that, is he guilty or not guilty? If he's guilty, let him be charged. If he's not, let him be released. And also, on the part of the government, another thing that should be done is that all these ministries, agencies, parastatals, and the EFCC and other ones should not be used as a tool, political tool, because eventually we are going to come back to this table and discuss it. So they should not be used as a tool. This is not the time to now, because you don't want a particular person to be against your political party in the next election, then you begin to witch hunt them. I mean, you cut their wings so they don't talk too much. And, whether you like it or not, people will still make alliances, regardless of what political party they belong to, or even if they have cases with the FCC. So it's a place where we can say the government really has to do.
And the one more thing is, even sitting governors sometimes are invited. Right. Take Bala Mohammed, for instance. For example. A few weeks ago, he mentioned during an interview that
one of his commissioners,
that they invited his commissioner, and they are even trying to invite him also. But then he has immunity. But regardless, I think according to some laws, some part of the constitution, the EFCC is operating, I think you can still invite a governor. But you might not be able to arrest that person. So it's left to the FCC and, of course, these people. At the end of the day, let's not, politicize all of this matter.
All right, it's a convenient place to leave that one. And let's take weather reports this morning.